In this video, I am going to be talking about the optimal loadout that you should be bringing in with you in Delta Force. So by the optimal loadout, what do I mean? What I mean is what you should be bringing in with you based on how much money you actually have. Because I have 421,000 right now, right? And if I want to go into a raid, I don't want to bring in all 421,000 with me, because then I'm not really going to be able to play another match. If I want to play 2 or 3 games, which I would say would probably be a decently sized session, unless I'm streaming or something, then I'm only going to want each loadout to cost like 100,000 or slightly less, and this is going to greatly vary depending on how much money you own. So if you have like 13,000, if you have like 13 million, then obviously you're going to be able to spend a lot more on your loadouts. But this video is going to be dedicated towards like figuring out what you should be bringing in based on how much money you have, if that makes sense. So as an example, let's say I want to go in with this 421,000, and let's kind of cap our budget here to about, I don't know, 150,000 or something, which would be like a pricey loadout. So I can see that I've got 2 helmets here. I've got a red helmet and I have a blue helmet. And in my armor section, I've got a purple, a blue, and another blue vest. So I think what I would do in this situation is I would bring in the purple armor along with the blue helmet that has plus 20% hearing range. I'm not going to bring in this red helmet because, you know, red and purple are pretty far apart, but blue and purple are pretty close together. I would want to pair this red helmet with at least a gold armor. So I'm not doing that, so therefore I'm not going to bring it in. I'm just going to bring in the blue helmet, because that means I don't have to pay for it. Like, if you've got stuff lying around, instead of going over to the, you know, gold stuff and spending, like, all of your money on that, just use the stuff you've got, or at least sell it. But I'm not going to sell these, I'm just going to go in with them, because I might as well just do a raid with it, and, you know, the time to kill doesn't differ very much between the different armor classes, so it doesn't really make much of a difference anyway if I've got this or gold on, so I might as well just go in with this. When it comes to the backpack, I tend to go for this blue thing right here, because this is 20 slots, and the best backpack has double that, but then this gold one has 30. So I think the blue one is kind of the best bang for your buck, while not being like absolutely huge. This one right here is very big, and it only has 1 more slot than the blue one. And as you go up, you'll get like a few extra slots here and there, and then it'll eventually up to 10 with this 100,000 backpack. I mean, like an extra 10, which is 30, and then this 500,000 backpack is another extra 10, which is 40. But what I normally just go in with is a blue backpack. This one right here, 18,000, very, 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 very cheap. So I'm just going to go ahead and purchase that while still holding like a pretty decent amount of space. It holds all of this, which is not so bad. And if I kill someone, then I can take their backpack, which is going to have more space anyway. So I tend to think that bringing in like a super massive backpack, if you don't have much money, isn't really the best choice, especially if you're going to be going for the PvP. And that's pretty much the same as the rig. Like the one with 13 space isn't so far behind the one with 20 space, but it is significantly cheaper, so therefore I tend to just bring that in as well. It has enough room for all of the things that you need to put into this. And again, this is because I don't have that much money, right? Like, so far, I think I spent like 20,000, this is 8,000, and this is 16,000, so 8, 16, 24. So far, I've spent 24,000 on this loadout, and since I said I wanted to do like 100,000 or something so I could play 4 games today, I am going to now want to spend about 60,000 on my weapons, so we still have some room for some ammo and some meds. So when it comes to weapons, it's going to be preference on what you want to use. If you really like the AKS-74, go with that. If you really like the Scar H, go with that. If you really like, I don't know, the M1014 shotgun, then go with that. It's always going to be best to just go with what you prefer, because you're probably going to be best with what you prefer than with like a weapon that you don't really like at all. And since I'm going in with a blue helmet and purple armor and like a decent backpack and a decent rig, I am going to want a decent weapon. I'm not going to want to, you know, go in with nothing and try and kill an AI and take their gun. I'm going to want something that's like easy to manage and easy to control, and something that I like. And a very good way of trying to make a weapon that fits a kind of precise budget, which for me in this instance is 70k or something very close to that, is to, instead of going into this menu and preparing, is to just go back to the main menu and press tab and actually go into the firing range, which is through these doors. I'll just show anyone in case you don't know. And then left. And then through these doors right here, you have to press F on this one, and you'll come to the firing range. Now, what you want to do when you're here, let's just go with whatever gun you want. If you don't have much money, then probably something like the Car 15 is going to be a good pick, which is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the Car 15. Now, I know this is 9,000, which still gives me, I think, about 50,000 to work with. So when I go to equip this, and then when I go to modify it, I want to give this good control while having a scope and maybe a bigger mag on it without going over 50,000. And you can see all of the prices here when you're hovering over the weapon, so you just have to be mindful of that as well. So I'm going to put this mag mount on for 5,000. I'm going to put this extra magazine on for 5,000. That's 10,000 altogether. The grip, I want cheap stuff, right? So I'm going to be looking at the green things here. I'm not really going to go up to blue or purple because that's going to be significantly more expensive. I want to be going for the green stuff, and this gives me 2 control, which is what I want. 3,000 brings us up to 13,000. I'm going to go ahead and install that, and then also calibrate it. Always remember to calibrate stuff, because these percentages right here, like the +6% extra control, really do add up. I'm going to put on this +2 control for another 3,000, and then also calibrate that. I'm going to put an optic on, not a particularly expensive one. I like this Russian 2x accuracy scope, which is 8,000. And now I'm going to tally up the costs of everything that I've purchased so far, just so I'm aware of it. So far we've spent less than 30k, which means I still have 20k for the barrel, the muzzle, well, the barrel and the muzzle. So for the muzzle, I'm going to put on a very cheap control thing, which leaves me with 17,000, I believe. Then I want a barrel that is going to give me access to this foregrip, because it's also going to give me control and stability, which is what I want. Those are the main things for me, along with a bit of range, which is nice as well. Also, again, calibrate that. Always remember to calibrate those for that extra control. And then the last thing I want to add is the foregrip. I'm not going to be able to add a very expensive one, but I do just want this vertical foregrip, because that's the main type of I don't know, I don't really care about horizontal. I can deal with that, but I don't want to have very much vertical recoil, so I am going to pop that on, and then for the last time, going to go ahead and calibrate this. And now we're going to test this out. This is like the gun that is like within our budget that we set for ourselves, and I'm going to test this out and see how it performs. Obviously, if it's not good, then I'm going to change it around, but I feel like this is going to be okay for what we're going to be after. So this shoots straight up, a little bit of camera shake on it. Very, very straight for the most part. It shoots pretty much straight up. You do get a little bit of horizontal kick on it. At the end, you can also go into this section, and then details, and then control. This is what it looks like. So just straight down, and then it starts veering off to the left a little bit. But for this range, which is 50 meters, which is like pretty far for this game, like 50 meters and beyond, I would think are like somewhat rare encounters. Most of your encounters are going to be within 50 meters in this game, like inside a POI or something. So I would say I can comfortably hit that guy. If I want to test it a little bit more, I can just give him some extra health, give him 300 health, see if we can hit like every single shot on him, see if we can manage that recoil after it starts veering off to the right. And we can. So I am happy to go in with this gun. So now it's going to come down to what ammo we want to bring in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F on this and then loadout, and I'm just going to save this as budget car 15. And I'm going to save that in custom 1, and that has now been saved. So then when I leave the firing range, I'm just going to go and prepare it into this again. And when I get to this weapon, I'm going to select this car 15, preset loadout in the top right, and pick my budget car 15, which is 56,000. Now, at the top left here, we can see that this is our gear value, which is 195,000, but the helmet doesn't count and the armor doesn't count, and both of those would tally up to about 106,000, I believe. Which should leave us with about 10,000 if those very quick calculations are correct. Since we have 10,000, well, I've actually got green and blue ammo here, so I might as well bring in some blue ammo here. If you don't have blue ammo here, then just bring in the green ammo, because that's not going to be very expensive. And if you can't afford that, then do just bring in. You don't really want to be bringing in the gray ammo, but if you don't have green ammo, or you can't afford it, then go with the gray. But in general, you want to be going in with the green. And anything above that is just better. Like, green is good, blue is very good, and I generally just wouldn't ever bring in purple or gold. I would just, like, always sell that. So green is, like, fine, it's grand, it's decent, and then blue is, like, good, and then I just wouldn't bring in purple or gold. But since I have this blue ammo, I might as well bring it in with me. So I'm going to bring in 4 batches of that, which I think is going to be enough. I'll bring those all in here and put them in my safe box so that even if I die, it's not really going to cost me anything because I'm still going to have those in my safe box. And this is probably like the most expensive thing in this loadout, so it's good to have that inside of my safe box. And if I find better stuff in-game, I can always switch it out. I'm going to make some use out of these first aid kits that I have. And when it's like this, you don't have... You've got like lots of first aid kits that are a bit worn out and used. And what I would do is just bring in a couple of these and just bring them in like this section, so if you lose them, it doesn't really matter and you're not taking up a slot in your safe box. I'm gonna bring in that much. I feel like that's enough. Still less than what a normal one would be. And again, if I find better stuff, I can always just throw these out if I really need to. But I do want to bring in with me is a tactical surgical kit, which is going to go in here, and then just a cat tourniquet on me as well. And that's 11,000, which should round us up to approximately 100,000, I believe. It says my gear value is still 195, and since this is like 106, I guess we're still beneath that 100,000 threshold, which is what we wanted to achieve. So there's just an example of a loadout that you want to be bringing in with you if you have, like, let's say you have 400,000, which is what we had at the start of this, and you want to play, you know, 3 or 4 games, you bring in a 100,000 loadout each time, so even if you lose all of them, you'll at least be able to play 4 games. Now, if you have 400,000 and you want to play 8 games, then obviously you want to make your loadout like 50,000 each time. And even if you have nothing, and you don't have, like, any money at all, and you don't have any gear at all, then you can just do, like, 0 to hero runs, which is what I believe most people do. Which is where you go in with nothing, kill an AI with your knife, and then just extract with, like, some loot, and then you'll have, like, another 100,000 or 200,000 or something like that. Then also, obviously, if you have more money, you have, like, let's say 2 million, and you want to be able to play 2 games, and you don't really mind if you lose all of your money, then obviously you would bring in, like, 1 million each time. Now, there are also 2 different types of players. There are players that, you know, don't want to bring in the super good, like, mega good stuff in this game. Like, they won't build out, you know, a super expensive gun because they don't want to lose it. They won't bring in the good ammo because they don't want to lose it. They don't want to bring in the good backpack and the good rig and the good helmet and the good armor in case they lose it. And what I would say about that is, don't go above blue ammo, but I would bring the blue ammo in if you have lots of money. Like, I don't know, if you have like upwards of 500,000 money, I would generally be bringing in the blue ammo. I think it's probably worth it because it is very good. And if you don't have that much money, then just bring in green ammo. For the gun, as long as the recoil is manageable, it doesn't really matter what gun it is or what ammo you're using, as long as you can actually hit shots with it and visibly see what you are hitting at like a decent range, the gun's going to be fine. But the gun also isn't something I would cheap out on. I think the gun is probably going to be the most impactful thing on whether or not you lose a fight. It's not going to be your helmet or your armor or your rig or your backpack. It's probably going to be your gun. So I would definitely never cheap out on that. Like, if you have 2 million, I wouldn't be scared of investing like 300,000 into a solid weapon or something like that. For the rig and the backpack, I wouldn't be getting the gold or the red stuff unless you have lots of money. Like I kind of said earlier, blue is perfectly fine. And with the armor, I would be like the ammo. I would generally go in with blue. I think blue is like very standard while also being very good for both armor and ammo. Because the differences in the time to kill between blue and red are a few tenths of a second, so it's really just not that impactful at all compared to the price, which is significantly different. I'll just show you here. This purple vest is 80,000, and if we go to this gold vest, this is 617,000. So it's way more for something that does pretty much the same thing and only shaves 0.2 of a second, I believe, off of the time to kill. So it's really just not worth it in 99% of situations. So just to, you know, sum it all up, if you don't have anything, just do 0 to hero runs, go in with absolutely nothing, knife an AI, and then just extract with their stuff and some loot that you found around the map. Don't go for PvP, just try and exfil, and you'll probably get like 100 or 200,000 to put you back on your feet. And then with that 100 or 200,000, go in with something like this, and if you don't have any armor lying about the place, that you can go in with no armor and just get the AI armor, try and get like green or blue armor from the AI, which would be good. Or you can spend like a very small amount on some green armor, which is not very expensive. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it's also not very expensive. One last thing I should mention is the gear sets. If you really don't have anything like at all, these gear sets are going to come in and you can get these daily. I generally always have these maxed out just because I don't use them so frequently. But these gear sets are good. The balanced one is balanced. The survival one gives you more heals, and the firepower one gives you more damage on your gun with better ammo, basically. You can also switch these out. So if I switch this SMG one, it's going to give me the Bison instead of the Uzi. If I switch this firepower one, it's going to give me some type of sniper rifle instead of the Mini 14, which is a marksman rifle. And if I switch this out, it's not going to give me the Car 15, it's going to give me the AKS-74 with a scope. And there are 2 of each of these, so you can all switch them out for the other one if you don't like a particular weapon, for 2,000 Technic Alloy, which is not very much. And it says the gear value of all of these. The gear value is the same for all of them, so if you exfil with all of this stuff, you'll get 50,000 and a gun and some ammo and some heals, which is always good to just put you back on your feet. And it means you don't have to, go around killing AI to find meds or, room to put your heals in or anything like that in a rig. It's just going to be like a free kit that you can bring in with you to try and put you back onto your feet, which is nice. So there you go. This was kind of like a little bit all over the place, going through, weapon customization and talking about price differences and time to kill differences between armor. As I was kind of like hopping around between a few different places, but I think all of those things are important to think about when you're deciding what kit you want to go in with based on how much money you have. If you're wondering why I don't have very much money, that's because I exclusively play solo, which is pretty rough. I at least mostly play exclusively solo, so that kind of makes it so that you lose a lot of money over time. And also, if you want to make money but you don't really like playing solo, you can always just play trios. If you do like playing solo and you don't like playing in a team, you can always just go into a team for a little bit just while you're trying to make money, because it's much safer, I would say. And then when you're done making the money, you can just go back to playing solos. That is also something that I would occasionally do as well. If you want to make money passively, don't forget about your black site. I'm not going to be going into this right now. I have a tutorial on this already, but always be producing these things and then listing them on the auction house, because that's always going to, well, it's generally going to turn you a profit, which is good for just like always keeping, some type of a steady income, and also be upgrading this because this is just going to give you some nice perks and bonuses as well, which will kind of help you out with money and therefore what kits you want to bring in with you, and all of that kind of stuff. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.